Hey, how's it going, guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we're going to be doing a $900 gaming PC sponsored by Antec.
Antec has come in and helped us out with a couple PC builds every single month, and this one is going to be a white-ish themed gaming PC featuring this case from Antec. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit more about Antec and the stuff they offer.
So Antec has a lot to offer, from coolers to cases to power supplies. Their power supplies are actually really good. They're usually 80 plus gold, so 92% efficiency, and they're a little bit more expensive, but if I'm being honest, some of the best build quality on power supplies we've ever seen.
Now this DP501 case comes in white or black. We're using the white version because they wanted to showcase it as an option for you, and it is a really well-built case with tempered glass and RGB built in, so we're excited to build in this case. And special thanks again to Antec for sponsoring this PC build. We probably will have a couple other ones in future months, so stay tuned for that. But how about we go ahead and talk about each individual part and how it makes up this $900 PC.
So for $900, what could we fit in this? Of course, the Ryzen 3600. It's a 6-core 12-thread. It's great for doing things like streaming, multitasking, gaming, basically everything. So this processor is honestly a no-brainer, especially in a time like this where processors are hard to come by. 3600 being under $200 typically, you gotta go for it. And once again, with parts being a little bit harder to find, we actually went with this ROG Strix B450. This is a really good board. It's one of the higher end B450s, so of course, if you want to save a little bit of money, you could just get a full-size board that's not all RGB and awesome looking. But of course, for being a little bit over $100-ish right now, this board's kind of one of the better ones you can get because X570s are typically over $150, and we wanted to stay under $1,000, so we have the B450. And for RAM, we decided to go with 16 gigs of Corsair 3200 megahertz, and it's RGB. It's their Vengeance RGB Pro. Really, really good stuff. Nice heat sinks with some really good looking RGB, and honestly, it's Corsair, very trusted brand. So this is gonna be more than enough to power this build. And big thanks to Crucial. This is the Crucial P2 NVMe M.2 SSD. It's 500 gigs. These are some of the cheapest ones you can get right now. They're about $67.99. So for an NVMe SSD, this is like the best deal you can get right now. So definitely go check those out on Newegg or Amazon. Links in the description down below. But we highly recommend these SSDs.
Now for the graphics card, we went with this Msi Mech Rx 5700. Now the 5700 and 5700 XTs have actually been in stock like a lot compared to like Nvidia cards right now. For some reason there's a big inventory of these cards, but that doesn't mean they're not good options. This is a really awesome card for 1080p high refresh rate, even 1440p if you want to, and we're very excited to showcase it in this PC build. And as we mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is the Antec EarthWatts Gold Pro power supply. Now this is actually the white version, which they sent over because, well, we have this white themed DP501 case, but actually you can get the black version if you want to. Links in the description down below for a lot cheaper. It's still from Antec and it's still a really awesome power supply. So if you don't want to go crazy and get the white one, you can do that. This thing has 750 watts, which is way more than this PC really needs. You could probably get away with a 500 watt or sometimes even a 450 watt with a setup like this, but 750 watts will allow you to, well, upgrade in the future if you want to, and well, it's a really nice power supply from Antec. And to make that power supply look even nicer, we got a cheap kit of custom sleeved extensions for this PC, and guess what? They're white because we want to match this white case over here, which again is the DP501, which has tempered glass, a nice little RGB accent in the front, an RGB fan in the back, mesh filter, decent airflow, and it comes with basically all 4 fans loaded up. You can see the other fans right there. But yeah, this is a pretty awesome case for the money if you get your hands on it. Again, if you don't go with the white version, you can definitely find the black version in stock more readily than the white ones, so you can definitely check that out. But yeah, very excited to put this thing together and see how she performs. Let's do it.
right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have this $900 Antec gaming PC all put together, let's talk about those benchmarks real quick. Now, this is one of the more impressive PCs that we've tested here on the channel. In my opinion, this is one of the best value pure gaming PCs that you can get, which we'll talk a little bit more about in just a minute. But this PC ran through pretty much any game you want to throw at it at 1080p, well over 100 FPS, some situations around 60ish FPS, but Call of Duty Warzone in their 50v50 mode, this was getting really awesome results. This is probably like the most demanding situation you could put this PC in right now, especially in a game that's really popular like Warzone. So this mode is actually really good for testing PCs. But anyways, getting really awesome results on like a mixture of high, medium-ish settings, which is probably optimal for a configuration like this. Warzone is definitely a really popular game, and it's a game that we've been playing a lot over on twitch.tv/ToastyBros, so be sure to check that out. But it's awesome to see that this thing can run at close to high refresh rate settings with just a $900 PC. The next game we tested was Rainbow Six Siege, and as always, if it's going to run Warzone, it's definitely going to run Rainbow Six Siege with a built-in benchmark, getting well over the high refresh rate 144Hz mark. You could lower the settings if you wanted to, because this was ran on very high settings. If you lower it down to medium, you could probably play games at 240Hz, especially Rainbow Six Siege, so keep that in mind, and that would go for games like CSGO and Valorant if you're interested in those type of games. Rainbow Six Siege is kind of like the staple benchmark that kind of represents all those other titles. We also decided to test Far Cry 5 again, just to throw it back a little bit and test a older AAA title, and on ultra settings this got well over 100 FPS, which is insane. Absolutely cool to see. Far Cry 5 definitely should be retired right now because, well, a $900 PC is maxing it out at well over 60 FPS, so we might need to update our benchmarking list with another AAA title. But speaking of AAA titles that are not going to be retired anytime soon, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which at very high settings got, well, still pretty decent results, well over 60 FPS, which is what we're looking for a PC like this. And really the combination of the RX 5700 and 3600 are just a great pair. They just work great together. It's not that they're both AMD, it's just the fact that they're both really well valued parts and they're readily available right now. Availability on PC hardware is very limited, and the reason we're doing these build guides still, regardless of availability, is parts are going to come back in stock here and there, and eventually they'll be back to normal stock. And we want to have build guides out there for you that represent what you can get when stuff's in stock. And if for some reason you're buying PC parts and the stuff is cheaper, well, that's a win for you guys. And if this $900 PC is around $800 in a month or two, that's awesome. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video the idea of this being a purely gaming PC. What you could do if you want to spend more money is get a better GPU like a 2060 Super or 2070, and you get the NVENC encoder, which is great for things like live streaming. Yes, you could live stream on this PC if you wanted to using X264, but I do not recommend live streaming on the AMD encoder right now. It just isn't nearly as good as what NVIDIA has to offer. You have RTX voice and all the other stuff that streamers would like with an NVIDIA GPU, so opting for something like a 2060 Super, which is more expensive but probably performs about the same in terms of gaming for the RX 5700, you do get all those extra streaming features if that is important to you. But if you're somebody who's just gaming, the RX 5700 and the RX 5700 XT are still amazing cards for the money. As you can tell, we can max out pretty much any game we want to play, and I'm very impressed with this configuration overall. The one thing I did notice is how much RAM was being used in Call of Duty Warzone. We might need to revisit is 32 gigs of RAM starting to become a standard nowadays, because we're getting close to maxing out that 16 gigs of RAM when playing Call of Duty Warzone. So we might need to reevaluate that in a future video. Let us know in the comment section down below if you're interested in us taking a look at that. Alright guys, so that about wraps up the benchmarking session of today's video. How about we bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
Okay guys, so we're really excited that we just did some benchmarkings and also just to talk about this beautiful case. This DP501 was really fun to build in, the fact that it has the full basement that hides everything, plenty of room for cable management, and also this Earthwatts power supply, like we said, very, very good build quality, one of the best 80 plus gold power supplies you can get, so keep that in mind when watching this video.
Now, the whole combo that we recommend in this video should be pretty easy to get. Now, the one thing we mentioned is the power supply is kind of hard to get your hands on. They do have a black version that's a little bit cheaper and normally in stock. So if you don't really care about having that white all-around build, you can go with the black option if you want to. As always, links in the description down below. They are affiliate links. If you do purchase using those links, they will help us out. But overall, very impressed with this build. Love the RGB accents that this case offers, and that RX 5700 and 3600 combo for around $900 is an amazing value, and you really can't get much better than that for pure gaming.
And based on the benchmarks, you guys could tell that honestly 3600, 5700, they are pretty future-proof and they're gonna last quite some time. So for 900 bucks, especially with the new consoles coming out, I expect this to be able to keep up with no problem at all. So if you guys don't know already, check out our other 2 YouTube channels right over here and also our Twitch channel where we do some really awesome streaming. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Good old computer.
That was fun. Okay.